morning, our invited guests, members of SPE Lagos section, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me today to deliver the welcome session. I think the theme is a very vital one. Marginal fields are something that has not been quite clear to most of our city and even in the oil and gas industry. In Nigeria, we have had 2 licensing rounds for the marginal fields, one in 2003, another in 2013, which was, did not really take, the most recent one in 2020. That I understand is yet to be fully conclusive. What was aim or objective behind marginal fields? I think it was a very valid attempt. It was an attempt at and growing, admit and agree with me that the initiative in 2003 yielded a lot of results. One is very clear. You can see around the oil mill 56 area where a lot of our marginal field operators like Energia, Chorus, Platform, Pillar are successfully producing not only oil and gas. The PIA in itself has tried to clearly itemize what marginal fields are. They have also, that is the act in itself, has tried also to differentiate between producing marginal fields and non-producing marginal fields. It is very clear that from the 1st of January 2021, any asset that was not termed a marginal field after that date will not be called a marginal field. Any asset that had laid fallow for 7 years prior to the PIA will be termed a marginal field. Anything after that will not exist. In essence, what I'm saying is that going forward from the 1st of January 2021, we will not be seeing anything like marginal fields. Even those marginal fields that are producing or were producing before the 1st of January 2021 have a limited period, a period of 18 months to convert to a petroleum mining lease. All taxes and fiscal responsibilities on those assets are maintained, leading into that conversion. For any asset that is not producing before that date, it will be converted to a petroleum prospective lease. Now, the marginal fields are very, very important, not only to the oil output for Nigeria, also the gas. Today, we have an esteemed panel, a panel that will throw more light into the challenges that are faced by marginal field operators. And I must say that some of those challenges are quite Herculean. Funding is a very critical aspect. Technological innovation. Of course, technological innovation comes with cost. And if funding is dire, achieving those technological innovations will be very difficult. We have also seen companies coming together, individuals coming together to form companies in order to have that financial muscle or that technological capacity to push forward. Some of these partnerships have actually turned out to be the bane of developing marginal fields. A myriad of challenges, I must say. I'm sure today that the panelists will throw more light into this. Marginal fields can be successful. You can see examples of that in the United States, where you have very small fields producing at a very minimal level, but turning out enough value for stakeholders. So we are hoping that by the end of this discussion, we will have an insight into what these marginal fields are, what their plans are. Long-lasting partnerships. Partnerships are very, very essential. I will give you a small example. If you look out around that OML 56 area, where some of these small marginal fields have been able to come together to harness, especially for gas, to inject their gas and deliver to the domestic market through a collaboration, which shows that collaboration can actually work to deliver value to the marginal field operators. So these are some of the initiatives that we are hopeful by the end of this, they would have been deliberated upon. I would expect Lagos section to put together all these action for the benefit not only of SPE, for the benefit of the industry and Nigeria as a whole. Once again, thank you so much. A very, very exciting theme. I must congratulate Lagos section. I will close out by inviting this audience. On the 28th of March, we will be having our Oloibiri lecture series. This always happens in Abuja. It promises to be very exciting. Please find time and attend. I'm sure there is a lot of value that will be gotten from there. We also have the African Gas Innovation Summit. This is something that SP is collaborating with other professional bodies and oil companies towards its successful hosting. And finally, NAIS 2024, which will hold in July and August of this year. Please be there. There is value to be derived from this. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you a very fruitful session.
We thank you very much, Mr. Tari, for that inspirational remarks. Now we will have remarks from the SPD African Regional Director in the person of Mrs. Ogogo Effiong.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to first start by welcoming our Board of Trustees members who always support the sections when we call on them. I'd like to thank and welcome other SPD members, volunteers, former directors of Lagos section, former section chairs, and of course, Nigeria Council members. I'd like to welcome our guests, our esteemed resource persons, industry players, young professionals, and everyone in the audience today. We've come in here today to delve into this critical topic. This theme about marginal fields encapsulates the essence of innovation, perseverance, entrepreneurship, and strategic vision that define our industry's response to evolving challenges and opportunities. As we embark on the discussion today, it is imperative to recognize the significance of these marginal fields in shaping the future landscape constraints, and it presents unique opportunities for innovation, operational excellence, and they also demand a strategic approach that balances that technical ingenuity with economic value and environmental stewardship as well as regulatory compliance. I'd like to also welcome any members of the PRC who are in the audience. Throughout today, we will explore the multifaceted dimensions of marginal field development, from initial production, exploration, appraisal stages, all the way to the intricate engineering and production challenges encountered on the journey to first oil. We will draw on the collective expertise of our speakers and the participants, and we will analyze these best practices. We will share the lessons learned, we will identify emerging trends, and we will shape the trajectory of the marginal fields development in Nigeria. Let us not overlook these challenges that lie ahead. These developments are not without their obstacles, whether they be technical, economic, or regulatory or environmental. Yet, it is precisely in overcoming these challenges that the true spirit of innovation and resilience shines through. I would like to just conclude by urging us to actively engage in today's discussion, share your insights, contribute collectively to the body of knowledge that exists on the topic, and together we can chart this course forward towards a more sustainable, efficient, and resilient future for the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam, for that inspirational remarks. We will now dive into the business of the day, a discussion on the topic. Today we have brought to you a titan in the industry, a national treasure, and an expert when it comes to snatching victory out of challenging situations. When corporate discussions of women who have broken the glass ceiling in the red field of global oil and gas industry, Mrs. Uju Ifejika comes to mind, a lawyer and a legal expert in the Nigerian and global oil subsector. This exceptional and ethical leader broke the glass ceiling by becoming so far the first and only woman to own and operate as the chairman and CEO of a global cutting-edge upstream E&P company in Nigeria. A graduate of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Mrs. Catherine obtained a diploma in law in 1982 and an LLB in 1985 and was promptly called to the Nigerian bar in 1986. She is a member of the Nigerian Bar Association and International Bar Association, a fellow of the Institute of Arbitration and Conciliation, as well as a member of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators. Her career in the petroleum industry started when she was admitted into Texaco Nigeria PLC marketing department.
Fields that were absorbed and cut by international oil right? Because that and from their reserve evaluation, it was not commercially viable for them to produce. And they decided to cut it. Some of them went to the reserve and lose money because to them, treating it 1 hour and the resources do not give them required capital employed. So, now the federal government in a big to increase the production output of the country decided to have the first marginal flat round. And that was in 2001. The background, and there was 24 companies about that merged the ground. And at that time, the terms and conditions for you to announce that vote must have a technical. Why? Because that's the first time Nigerian companies are going to engage fully. Before it used to be discretionary award. Most of them, even at the time they needed to, for political reasons and favors, they never could, suggest it. Some they give it to the IOCs to get our votes. The government has said we want to get Nigerian companies involved, but you are not sure that you have the technical ability, you have the financial muscle. The finances wasn't there at that time, so they made it a precondition that you must have a foreign partner. So the essence is the technical competences, they will have to bring it, and the financial competences. Unfortunately, out of that 24 marginal fields, today, you don't have up to 50% that are producing. And that is an area where government is look into. It is not enough for you to create these marginal fields. At the end of the day, the bottom line is production enhancement. Because when production is enhanced, revenue to government is increased. Then revenue to the owners is guaranteed. And then creation of job opportunities for Nigeria. Because if you never check the food, you don't need person food. So what government needs to do. And then collectively, we work as a team. For us in the we are among the very few. As at that time, as at this moment, the ones that are functional, they are not up to 9 out of the 24. But the question that we all need to ask is, what was the reason why this other ones are not functional? There are many factors. The number one is the technical competences. Some of these people went this field and they don't have the knowledge. They just get to the have an oil block. That's all they need. Some is the partnership. Strange bedfellows. Some were merged at the time of the award. Okay, this person, instead of going to one person that, okay, join on these people. And what you had at that time was people fighting. Some ended up in the court, and at the end of the day, nobody, all of us seated here, if you are in court or you have partners that are troublesome, you understand, you want a seamless, symbiotic relationship. And that is another place the government was looking to. You don't need to tell me to marry somebody. When that person, you don't get the same, now. So how will they take marry? If they marry, not divorce every time now. So that is another thing. You don't marry people together. Let them find their own soulmates. Let them find their partners. In which case, they have their terms and conditions for that relationship. Okay. The other one is that cases where these marginal fields were placed, majority of them is onshore. Incidentally, I happen to be, within a year, I happen to be the only marginal field offshore. Okay, every other one was onshore. There's some of them now that is being relinquished, and some of them that are being last marginal field that are offshore. So all those ones, you have the security issues. You have the issues. Because some of the community members, they don't even understand that you, as the owner, the operator, not the owner, because the federal government regulates it, have your own challenges. You go and borrow money from the bank. You have not even started the operation. Your interest is counting. And they want you, the moment you come in there, I'll tell you what you have given us. And if you don't give us, you will not work. So those are the ones. And some people, when they are coming in, they paid for the signature bonus, they paid for everything. Now to move to site, and they're telling them they want that time permission, they cannot do it. And you see them, they are not looking at it. The other one is technical competences. Because for you to build a field that is abandoned, for you to do, the first thing you do is get the data. The data, you're not able to pick it on the road, you pay for it. You get the data, you now look whether you're going to re-enter the well. You clean out the cabins and everything and check if it's okay to produce. If you're not okay, is it that you look at it, the cost of doing site back or the cost of cleaning out all the tubings, all those ones. Many people don't understand, even the people who are the owner of these fields at the moment. Then you look at the geological interpretation and geophysical interpretations. All those things are jobs that you must do before you're going to, exploration and production projects. Now, you have the one that is already drilled. So you're not doing an exploration, you're doing a re-entry, which is easier, but you can go there and the entire students will collapse. What will you do? The money that you put in there will go. Let's have that experience one time. So, on the issue of the passengers, yes, you have people who have managed not through all these things and are still standing. It is not an easy thing. I can tell you from my own experience, I'm a lawyer by profession. But today, I can tell you, I have read certificates for geologists, petroleum engineer. I don't get certificates, but I am a petroleum engineer. I'm a geologist. Why? The wells that we drilled, I pick the coordinates. I can go into the land, I can interpret maps. Okay, but for me, it is not going to do these things. You must have the interest. Some people just get the blocks. When you tell them, come and do presentation, they will tell you, oh, my technical people. Yes. Yes, I will answer the questions. I will make the presentation because I took time to understand what this thing is all about. Nobody can do it, and that's another major issue. A lot of people have these things. You go and call for technical people, operation people. The biggest problem that Nigerian government was that they never monitored the IOCs. Training the Nigerians. What you have is straight-jacketed individuals. It's either you're a geologist, you stay on geological discipline. When you come out today, how many people they drill? How many people will call you as a consultant? The answer is very few or nothing. Now, what they ought to have done is to have ethnic works across the trade. In Britannia, today, If you're working in Britain, if you're a geologist, you know everything about production. You know everything about shipping. You know everything about export. Because if you're going to do that, I'll fire you. But I'm not doing it that is to so that tomorrow if you leave, you have a choice of where to buy an approach. But if you're a geologist, and the number of they are telling you Nigeria have 16 months for the biggest oil country in the sub-Saharan Africa. Only 16. Did I tell you something? So if you get 16 geologists to come and do interpretation and do the what will happen to the other people who are geologists? So we need to do something to increase this weak capacity and then match jobs. The ISC didn't do that. What they did was that the Nigerian government is saying Nigerians must be involved. They give you a position as the director. You don't have authority. They are still running it from their headquarters abroad. And Nigerian government, because people understand that once it's a takeover position, today they are exiting. And what is changing? Exiting ever. What is it that we are not doing, or government is not doing now, that is making this people to leave? What do you want us to do? If you want to come back, they are leaving, they are not going back to their own country, they are going to West African countries. And that's why our respect on the Committee of Nations is reducing. Because the only thing that makes us to be the giant of Africa was that they respect us. Equatorial Guinea, Senegal, everywhere. Because when these people are leaving, you have the stratigraphy of West Africa. It's fabulous. And every one of these places have oil. One thing is the opportunity for them to explore. When they explore, they have seen oil. So us, we need to look at have a trade institutions that will train our young ones. And then, because train the trainers, even us as we are here today, from we tell you, I'm 30 years, 40 years, we still need training. We have AI. We have technology. We have everything. So that is something that we continually. Learning is continuing. So for us in Britain, we took our first drilling when we got in the law. Incidentally, we had it 100%. And we now, in line with the government directive, we had a group, Petroleum Inc. And Petroleum Inc., USA, they said that they got about 3 other blocks, then partnered with us. At that time, we didn't know what GTL was. They were into GTL and they were going back up. So they came to Nigeria, which is what most of them did. They will come and partner, take the reserves and go to the stock exchange, raise money, they will exit. So that is what these people did. And in December of 2006, they exited. And now what energy equity resources. Those ones took over from them. So when I joined the company in 2007, because I took an early retirement from Chevron, because at that time I had a very good career. I covered West Africa, Nigeria, Cameroon, Togo, Benin, Ivory Coast, and Congo, while the company secretary was Nigeria. You know, in terms of traveling, in terms of exposure. But I saw a lot of opportunities here. And I told them I wanted to leave. And when I decided to offer me everything, including executive director position, I told them, I said, no. If it's executive director position, I'm the one who opens the door for them from US to see any president in the African country. If I go there, they will not know If you tell them I'm not executive director, they will say, because what they see as our presidents then, or even the chairman, they will say, why is Mr. Sifojika? So I told them I don't do that. We now said, okay, we are company. We want to do consultancy to handle all our events and public relations across the continent and organize it. Because that is another problem a lot of us make. If you want to else, you are not vanished. No. Because by the time you are going to come back, you have your colleagues who are still there. You yourself, you left. They can't do gratuities, your pension, or everything. What they paid me after 21 years was 60,000. I didn't look at them because I knew that I have the potentials. Which a lot of us looking at the fiscal fashion. You can create wealth. So when they gave me that, I shared it with some widows and everything. Gave my division, I had 1.5 million. That was what I started with with. But to show the awareness, I went to the bank precisely, and asked for 23 million. When the then fixing director, when I saw somebody say that, she looked at this one, I said that this one, now fraud. She asked him, what baffled me was that everything that I stated, I have documentations to, and that he was surprised I didn't come with a technical or operational person. When I finished that, I left the documents with him, and he took it to the chat, went to people and went everywhere, and found out that everything I gave them was on point. They now decided to give us $23 million. Now, you didn't have the technical competencies. We had some Nigerians that are what we are looking at, which is the mistake that all of us make in this country. So they gave us the coordinates and we went to drill. We entered the well and did the sidetrack. Okay, which, if I know what I know today, I would have gone down because the well tested 4,000, 13,500. You did a sidetrack, 3,005. The sidetrack, the first one was not successful because of dry hole. That is enough to discourage anybody. The $23 million we got, all of them, vamoose. They lost everything. Everybody called a technically competent person. So, as you sell this shares, even the partners wanted to buy us out. I told them, I went back to the bank. But I'm not 11.7. And my MD then told me, let us remember that I said, what is the money? If you want that, I'll fire you. And I went back, called very, very solid judges. Those who have worked with Chevron and left. So they did the prognosis 2 weeks. And we came up with the same report. We lost a section. There is no way, even if you go through it, you cannot, where the reservoir is on the other side. So we now had to do the prognosis showed us that you can go on the opposite direction and still get that G6. So we got that. 5 days after that, struck oil. And everybody, if I had said I was going to leave, or I exited because they offered me good money at that time, but it wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking at creating jobs for Nigerians, joining in creation of revenue and wealth in the country. Okay, so that happened. Everybody was around saying that was 2008. We started February to April. We did once 2 sites. So the other one was driving. Now we said, okay, let us test the adjacent folder. We did that relational one. We saw which hydrocarbon. And we now left that because we have to do a horizontal one or vertical one. So what everybody was asking, okay, do pipeline to achieve or Chevron. And I told them, I said, from what I have seen, which is what we need to do, if I did a pipeline to Ajib, tomorrow I have existed. What did I do? I have shut down for a long time, so my production will not go anywhere. If I had gone to Chevron, it would cost major communities. And if you have a community that is 1 million, you have the same. If you're getting a one that is 1 million, the people that took me there, they were the marketing managers. They wanted to make their own money. So when they took me, they said, oh, we had that there. They were just the one, not the owners. They are the ones that was taking me through. So when I finished, I told them, I said, I didn't know that you have another job. So which job? I said, you are the marketing manager of this company. We all laughed. And I said, no. How did you not know? We were all coming there to see this thing. That is that language. What kind of intelligence? Some people will not, because as at that time, I have to pay $150,000 per day and $600,000 for servicing and maintenance. So if you check that, all these things together, you are looking at about 50 something million, and you don't know it. And anytime you are not servicing and you don't know, it will shut you down. So how much do we pay? We paid less than 30 million, 27 million. So we own it. And it was built at Common Museum. When they went to commission it, the then DPR director with the senior president, the people in Museum, they were saying, who is this black woman? That is a game changer. I told them myself because I will go to the shipyard and I will shout at them to get things done. You understand? Now, when I entered there, they did the fabrication 7.5 months. Because of Katrina, 3 months, it would have been 4.5 months. Not getting. Not how professional have done it. When we did it, thank you. When we did it, because I took time to the market. I didn't say my technical people, I didn't say anything. Okay, I was there, everyone, I was there. Even the person who has done it, I told him at that time, the right way you put, you didn't, it's not well, but I said, Madam, I said, if you don't get it done, by tomorrow, I'll fire you and your people. You need this fight. So I went on. By the time I came down, they were doing it. So if you know what, you're the one doing it. So you should be able to put your feet down and show what you. But most people, something for people when everything I have to do, even the house, I'm running my children start of it. What engineering do you well fabrication? Okay, but now at a very reasonable cost, even when some people $1.8 million. Now, I got a dump barge to be transporting our crude. Okay, so now you have an FPSO, you have a dump barge. You need 2 tugboats. One of the Oyibo people say, Madam, you have spent so much. We can do the towing with 1 tugboat because it is big. And we towed the same thing, 3.8. We towed our FPSO and the barge, and we came to Nigeria. Nothing happened. That barge is still there. We are still using the tugboat. We are still using it. The barge, we are still using it. So when we came in, they do the installation, and then we commenced operation 2010 January. Now, from that time, we have done other things. For every challenge that we had, it is an opportunity. We had, while we were doing our drilling, we lost $6.8 million because the vessel owner, let me remember their name. They had contract with the rig that worked for Shell, and if you take the rig, you have to take their vessel, and their vessel had to go out to do temporary work permits and come in. That took us so long. We lost $6.8 million. And I asked them, I said, how much is a vessel? An offshore vessel. I got an offshore vessel for $3.5 million. That offshore vessel is still operational till today. So, instead of us having, we had 2. So for you to be able to do or succeed, you must be ready to make investment. And you look at it, if you are not able to make investment, collaborate with people who have invested in those things that you need. One is that a lot of people today, we were going to Chevron, and Chevron, when we take our crude, they tell us, you brought 50% water, you brought this. And one time I asked them, I said, what is our water, this thing? It was 0.0. So something was happening at a point, and you will pay for a lot of things. Okay, at the end of the day, you have about $7 something for your crude handling, not the sales, crude handling. Now, I said, I shut my operation down for 7-8 months. I went to get ministerial approval to own my own export terminal. Today, we have our own export terminal, and we have people coming in. The only thing I guaranteed people is that no crude, you will not lose any of your crude. Any of my staff that tries it, that person will be fired instantly. The good thing is that the people who have brought in their crude to our this thing, because our FSO is the largest gross tonnage vessel flying Nigerian flag. It's an Afrimax, and it has a latch unit certified by NAPRC. They built it in Houston, and the metering system is turbine metering system, so it's not PD meter. Turbine meter is usually 99.99% correct, and when you have to do it, the NAPRC will have to do the certification, the reality test, before they will allow you the proof loop certification, before they allow you to introduce hydrocarbon. We've done all those things. So people who are coming in to us, they know. None of them have said that they've lost anything, because I am directly involved. I want to know what is coming in. I want to know what is going out. So all these are things that, because of the experiences that we had. Today, I don't think there's any indigenous company that have what we have across the chain. From jetty, we have the largest jetty in Warri. We have the oil block, 100%, because in the course of this, when the foreign partners were not bringing money, they wanted to sell to a third party. I said, no, you give me the right of first refusal. And I went to First Bank and took 30 million. Because they had in the agreement, which is what a lot of us don't look at. Check your agreement before you sign it. They had in the agreement at that time that if you would fail to pay your cash call, you would pay 800% on the sum called. Unfortunately, the booby trap that they set caught them, because when they didn't pay their money, they are supposed to pay 8 million, we will pay 13 million. They didn't. So I now, as a lawyer, I brought up the clause, and they called everybody, including the then Attorney General. I asked the Attorney General, you are the law officer of the nation, what is this? He said, yes, it's the booby trap that they said caught them. I said, it will catch them, they will pay. So we negotiated, that means 64 million. That is what, and that 60 days, if you don't pay, you forfeit your shares. So the intention was to take over the asset. What we would have done is to go to court. If you don't catch money, then we'll carry everything. So when we did that, they now started begging. We now came down, you're owing us 18 million. So I asked them, I said, how much have you spent? They said 47 million. I said, okay, you're owing me 18 million. What I'm going to pay you is 30 million. We deduct what you're owing me. And so that was what we did. We paid them 30 million and we took back our 40%. We are the first amongst the indigenous company that bought out our foreign partners. That is what gave us peace. If we had that, they used to come in, 6 of them will come in on a first class ticket. And they are coming to do other meetings. They'll come in and see you for 30 minutes. So I told them, I said, you don't need to come. That's why you have a local partner. We'll do Zoom call. If there's any presentation that requires technical competencies, you fly in. But you cannot come more than 2-3 people. So all the things that they brought for us to pay, I refused to pay. But they know, because when you bring out your own, you read whatever you're signing. Most of you, they come out, hey, did you check it well? Are you sure? You know I'm busy. Where do I sign? You sign. You don't sign your death warrant. When they will start calling you to court, EFCC, you start shouting, these people, they want to kill me. No, you must look at anything that you're doing, be sure of what you're doing. Okay? So that was how our journey. Today, we can say that we have gone through a lot of challenges. We had a time when, you people will remember when they said that a vessel, there was an explosion at a vessel in Marina, 2011. It was our vessel, our FPSO, that came for servicing. We had to work on it for 11 months. The banks refused to give us money. But we finished, and we went back and we started operation. That is resilience. And if you don't have it, don't make the mistake. Don't go bother to come and do anything in the marginal field sector, because it requires a lot of capital, high capital expenses, technical competencies, and then above all, taxes. With the new PIA, tax, revenue. The government want revenue, but they're not looking at protecting that this thing that lays the golden egg. Okay? If you don't protect the operators and the owners of marginal field, the chances of you government requirement, which is the key to increase the oil production, to increase revenue generation through fiscal regime, you cannot get it done. Today, you have 57 marginal field that were awarded blocks at the 2021 bid round. How many of them are on production? Mr. Madasu, how many? Is where? So, what you're looking at, the number that is there, if you have 24 and only 7 is operational, 57,
I can tell you, not up to 10 is operational. Why? There's no money. A lot of people that got it don't have the technical competencies. A lot of it, where it is located, you cannot go there. Some, even when you're producing it, no vessel will come and pick it because it's in a swamp or on. Will you be trucking your crude? There are lots of, if you do pipeline, the thing, people will now go and vandalize it. So there are lots of things. What we need the government to do is to sit down with the stakeholders, because you know what? Government is continuum. There's a time to board and a time to onboard. Where are you onboarding to? Outside where we dey. Una go come join us. So if the cocoa there for there, you go see am. If na aporoka dey there, you go see am. So a lot of people, if you check the number of people who have retired from government agencies, if it's that easy, we will have too many people that are, operating because the competencies are there. But where is the money? Where is the technical support? If you're just a geologist, what you know is geology. If you're a petroleum engineer, if you're a downstreamer, you can't go to upstream and be very, very this thing. I did one because I'm a born entrepreneur. And I'm somebody who don't take no for an answer. If you want me to really bring out my best, tell me that this is not possible. I will prove to you that it's possible. So for us as individuals, you don't look at pace setters. The thing where person they go through before you can't come out on the other side is much. But for you to do that, you must make up your mind that come rain, come sunshine, I'm going to cross this barrier. And that is what we did. For me, as a woman in a male-dominated industry, when I got in, they said they gave me 2 months. That this is not about wearing nice suit, because I like my suit. Oh, that one, I know they play with them. So he said, no be wearing nice suits. Even while I was in Texaco, Chevron, they know me for that. He said that this one is capital intensive. Leave her 2 months, she will fizzle out. We don't date now. How many years now? 15 years. Those ones who say I go fizzle out, they don't fizzle out. Oh. So this is not looking at who you are. And most times, women, they say you are the first female owner operator. It's not what I want to hear. There should be more women. But you will stop looking at yourself. 37% affirmative this thing. That is nonsense. If you need something, stand up, go, show that you can do it and take it. But if you're looking for somebody to come and hand you oil block, you're wasting your time. Nobody will do it. You have to have that technical competence. If you don't have it, have people who have it and then put together. So I don't want for you to go, somebody told me 6 most powerful women in the industry globally. Yes, it's true. I'm the only female, the only black. But is that what I want to see? I want more women. I want more men. I want more people from Nigeria to take ownership of our God-given resources. And the only way we can do it is to come together, work together. Those that have the geological knowledge, serious ones, put them. Those that have petroleum engineering knowledge, those that have the facility, this thing, let us come together and then be able to do something. Because even with the one that they're divesting, they look una. Okay, have a nice day. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a deserving thunderous round of applause for the Titan herself, the conqueror, the one who snatches victory out of the jaws of defeat. We thank you very much, madam, for inspiring us all that if we are resilient enough, if we are dogged enough, it is possible in our country to own an asset if we position ourselves in the right way. Thank you very much, madam. At this time, we will have a sponsor's remarks for them to tell us a thing or two and for us to show appreciation for them making this day possible. So we would like to call on Dr. Bukola Olushola, representing Matrix, our platinum sponsor for today. Okay, I don't need to help you up now.
Thank you. Good morning, SP Nigerian Council Chairman, to the section chairman, good morning, African Regional Director, good morning, distinguished colleagues in the industry, and fellow panelists, good morning. I am glad to be here on behalf of Matrix Energy Group. I want to particularly thank the sponsors or the organizers of today's event for setting up a platform like this for marginal field operators to deliberate on issues affecting unlocking values from marginal field. So thank you. I once asked a great king on how to develop an asset. And he said to me, Bukola, look at my template. I created the environment first. And then I created my people. And I placed my people in my environment to develop the asset. I also asked colleagues in the industry, how do you develop a marginal field? And they all said, go to the class of 2003, 2004, marginal field winners, borrow their templates and run with it. When I looked at that council, I said to myself, the dynamics are different. Today, we battle with challenges that they didn't even experience an inch of it. Today, we're dealing with crude oil theft, illegal refineries, scarcity of foreign currency, inflation, asset vandalization, political instability, and so on. So the problems are a lot. The dynamics are different. So to borrow templates from the last set and apply it now to develop an asset will be suboptimal. So I realized that to develop an asset, we need to go with the first counsel, which is creating the right environment, and then putting in the right people to develop the asset. So what we did before we started working was to sit down and write our business vision. Where do we want to be in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? Are we going to remain as a marginal field operator, or tomorrow we're looking at bigger oil fields? So we wrote down our vision, and then we asked ourselves, what policies do we need to develop within our system to promote the right culture, the right environment that would help us to achieve our vision? So that was what we did first, creating the right environment. And then secondly, we look for the right people that can man that vision, take ownership of it, and run with it. Today, Matrix Energy Group has been able to run multiple projects, accomplished many projects similar to what the IOCs would do today, running multiple fields at the same time, because we are running based on our own templates. We run based on templates that aligns with our vision, with our culture, and with our people. And that has helped us in making significant progress within a very short while. So I want to say to fellow marginal field operators, before you borrow templates, sit down and ask yourself, what do you want to achieve in the industry? Who are you? The situations are different. You can't just borrow templates. Those days, there were funds available, according to Madam Uju. Funds are available. But today, with the same type of assets, no one is going to give you funds to develop them. You have to find a way to de-risk those assets. So you have to be innovative in developing your assets. So once again, I want to thank the sponsors of today's event. I wish us a productive meeting, and I want to advise you again, before you go ahead and borrow templates, create the right environment for your employees, develop them, and they will give you value. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bukola. We will also have Temitope Taiwo of Ajivin, our sponsor for today as well. Please, a round of applause for Temitope Taiwo.
Good morning. I'm going to be reading a prepared speech from my MD. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure and pride that I stand before you today as a representative of Ajivin Group of Companies, a gold sponsor of this remarkable event centered around the theme, Marginal Field Pace Setters, the approach, the challenges, and journey to first oil. As a company deeply entrenched in the oil and gas sector, we understand the significance of this theme and the importance of sharing insights into the journey of marginal field development. Marginal fields represent a unique opportunity in the oil and gas industry, offering untapped potential and promising prospects. At Ajivin, we understand and have embraced the challenge of developing fields in this category with enthusiasm and determination. Our commitment to innovation and excellence has propelled us forward in providing notable solutions to our clients. The journey to first oil is not without its hurdles, from technical complexities to lack of crude and gas evacuation systems to community challenges. We celebrate the regulator, NUPRC, for the huge support they currently give to asset development, which has been enabling business in this sector. Based on our experiences, we believe that with strategic collaboration, risk will be better analyzed and managed. Overcoming some of the highlighted challenges will be easier, and consequently, journey to first oil will be faster. One of the key approaches that sets us apart as pace setters in the development of marginal fields is our unwavering focus on sustainability and responsible resource management. We understand the importance of minimizing environmental impact and maximizing socioeconomic benefits for the communities in which we operate. By prioritizing stakeholder engagement and implementing best practices in environmental stewardship, we ensure that our operations leave a positive and lasting legacy. At Ajivin, we now encourage the incorporation of modular refineries into field development strategies for marginal fields, especially for onshore, that's land and swamp, and shallow water assets. From a countrywide analysis, and as we see, Nigeria is currently experiencing an energy crisis. From countrywide analysis, the aggregate refining capacity indicates a total of 1.93 million barrels of crude oil, in which modular refineries, that's hydro-skimming and topping plants, account for about 15.3%, which is less than 300,000 barrels a day. While traditional refineries, conversion plants accounts for the remaining just about 85%, which is about 1.65 million barrels a day. The current modular refinery capacity is a total of 30,700 barrels per day, out of the 298,000 barrels per day based on the permits that DPR then gave out. This indicates a 90% market gap. The growth opportunity for petroleum products in Nigeria is hinged on the growing demand for energy to power such as aircraft, heavy construction equipment, vessels, and large manufacturing plants and machinery. Other uses are for large mining explorations, as well as large commercial farming activities, considering the huge deficits in infrastructure development in the country. Some of our exceptional project deliveries at Ajivin include prepared award-winning bids during the last marginal field bid round in 2020, licensing and development Nimbe Crude Oil Export Terminal, which is offshore Brass, currently doing about 1.9 million barrels of oil monthly since October last year. Licensing and development of smart and efficient crude barging operations for OML, the same OML 29, delivering about 40,000 barrels per day. Co-licensing and ship agency for Elia Castle offshore crude export terminal. Licensing and development of Belema Suite onshore crude export terminal. A 20-inch, 50-kilometer offshore crude oil export pipeline surveys for OML 29 and OML 55. A 2-kilometer and 2-kilometer offshore geophysical surveys for Nimbe and Belema offshore terminals. Offshore deep hole geotechnical surveys for Nimbe and Belema Suite terminals. Safety case development for both onshore and offshore oil and gas assets. For example, export terminals, gas facilities, other flow stations, loading terminals, among others. Licensing and engineering support for Vitol's 25,000 metric ton gas processing facility. EPC for LACT units, built by one of the biggest single units in Nigeria, about 83,500 barrels per hour. Development of a ceramic membrane technology for produced water treatment, achieving results of less than 1 ppm of oil in water. Licensing and development of modular refineries. Conclusively, as we gather here today to share our experiences and insights, let us not forget the immense potential that lies within marginal fields. By working together and embracing the challenges that lie ahead, we can unlock new opportunities for growth, prosperity, and sustainable development. I would also like to express my gratitude to the SP Lagos section and the event organizing team for providing us with the opportunity to come together and exchange ideas. As we celebrate our 10th anniversary this year at Ajivin, we are proud of our growth and we look forward to continuing our journey of innovating the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Temitokpe of Ajivin. Now, just before we start the panel session, we want to recognize a few more companies that we can see in the room. We have Subdrill, Halkin, Iteo, Energia, Halliburton, SLB, Oriental, Akatech, Deputy High Commission of Canada, Saipem, Snepco. We thank our sponsors, and we also invite these companies that I've listed to please give us money. We would also like to specially thank ExxonMobil NNPC JV and recognize Mr. Ernest. If you could please stand up and wave your hand so we can honor you. We thank you very much for your sponsorship. And now that the business is done, we can move into the business of today. First, I'd like to start by introducing the moderator. We have Mr. Chike Aka. Chike is a seasoned oil and gas professional with over 15 years of industry experience. He began his professional career as a production engineer with Anadarko, working in gas fields of the U.S. Rockies, and then as a reservoir engineer in BP, overseeing deepwater fields in the Gulf of Mexico. He joined ExxonMobil Nigeria as a drilling engineer for JV fields and was soon assigned as lead reservoir engineer for Mobile Producing's flagship deepwater asset, ERA. Supervising the landmark expansion project, ERA North Phase 2, he transitioned to a commercial role as the lead company planner, where he was instrumental in developing the framework that realized $1 billion JV arrears payments from the Nigerian government. He's currently the head of the gas business unit for the New Cross Pan-Ocean Group, where he is charged with seeking commercial opportunities for the group's significant gas assets. Chike is a staunch advocate of a just energy transition for the developing world. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chike Aka. The first panelist we'll be introducing to you. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Yes, please. Is Engineer Enorese Amadasu. Engineer Amadasu is a petroleum engineer by profession and joined the NUPRC on January 4th, 1994. As a petroleum engineer, he rose through the ranks and has occupied key positions within the organization, including Assistant Director, Resources Management. He rose through the ranks and has occupied key positions within the organization, including Assistant Director, Resources Management Branch, Deputy Director and Head Upstream Monitoring and Regulations Division, Director, Hydrocarbon Development, and most recently appointed as the Executive Commissioner, Development and Production from December 2003 to date. He leads the optimization of geology and reservoir engineering processes, drilling and production operations, upstream facilities designs, installation and commissioning, all contributing to efficient hydrocarbon recovery. His leadership extends to subsurface development, drilling management, petroleum accounting, surveillance, and the strategic direction for operational performance. Ladies and gentlemen, Engineer Amadasu. The second panelist we would like to invite to the stage, trained in Nigeria and the United Kingdom, Mrs. Veronica Folorunshaw is a seasoned technocrat with experience and proven expertise in corporate finance, business development, oil and gas operations, amongst others. With an exciting career spanning over 20 years in the oil and gas industry, Mrs. Veronica has carved a niche for herself in financial management, delivering value across financial planning and commercial roles in the upstream sector of the oil and gas industry. Mrs. Veronica is highly motivated and results-driven individual with excellent leadership and managerial skills. In the last 2 decades, she has successfully led multidisciplinary teams, collectively recording milestone achievements. In discharging her duties as a management executive for the Pan-Ocean New Cross Group, she brokered and secured many landmark commercial and funding arrangements for the group's milestone projects and asset acquisitions. Prominent among them are funding and execution of the gas plant Amufe Escravos pipeline, and played an active role in the bid and eventual acquisition of various OML assets for the group, and was actively involved in raising funds for the development of those assets. An alumnus of the prestigious University of Westminster, London, University of North London, and University of Texas in Austin. Madam Veronica has attended several prestigious local and international training programs on various aspects of finance and business management, especially in relation to oil and gas. She is a fellow of the following professional bodies: ACCA, ICANN, CITN, amongst others. With an exceptional capacity to multitask and deliver outstanding performance, Madam Veronica successfully founded and manages Gab and Noella Concept Limited and other sister companies that have successfully acquired substantial stake in 3 marginal fields and set to play a leading role in the exploration and production operations within the marginal field space in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Veronica Folorunsho. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bukola Olushola is the Managing Director of Matrix Energy Exploration and Production Company Limited, a subsidiary of Matrix Energy Group. Dr. Bukola's practical leadership experience covers about 2 decades. He has previously worked in different technical and managerial capacities for various organizations, including New Cross Petroleum, New Cross EMP, Baker Hughes, Statoil, University of Calgary, McNaughton Calgary, Canada Limited. He has operated, evaluated, developed, and carried out field development strategies for oil and gas fields in Brazil, Canada, Colombia, Egypt, Oman, Nigeria, Pakistan, and USA. He shares his technical knowledge in leading professional bodies locally and internationally. He holds a Bachelor of Engineering degree in Petroleum Engineering from the University of Benin, Nigeria, and a Master of Science and Doctor of Philosophy degree in Petroleum Engineering from the University of Calgary, Canada. Bukola is a fellow of the Nigerian Institution of Petroleum Engineers and registered professional engineer with the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists of Alberta, Canada. He is also a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and a Chartered Institute of Directors. He masterminded Matrix Energy's excellent performance in working with speed throughout last year and achieving great results. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bukola Olushola. In order to develop your marginal field, you typically need a rig or a hydraulic walkover unit if it's not a rigless operation. In the house, we have one of few people in this country that determine whether you work or not, a rig owner, in the person of Mr. Valentine Ihesirim. He's a vastly experienced oil and gas professional with over 26 years practical experience. He started his career with Sedco Forex SLB in 1996, where he excelled in various capacities in Nigeria, Angola, North Sea, UK, and France. His rig operating experience spans the spectrum of swamp drilling rigs, tender assist rigs, jack-up rigs, and semi-submersible rigs. Mr. Valentine further joined Royal Dutch Shell in 2005, where he held various positions as a drilling engineer, senior well engineer, senior concept well engineer, where he designed and drilled deep oil and gas wells, which immensely contributed to the nation's power projects. Prior to joining OES in 2011, he was head HSSE and SP Wells and UIG Wells Region HSE Manager for Royal Dutch Shell, SPDC, and the Gulf of Guinea, Cameroon, Gabon, and Nigeria. Mr. Valentine is a graduate of the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, with a degree in electrical electronics engineering, a drilling engineer and an alumnus of Cambridge George Business School, UK. He serves on the board of other companies and a member of Institute of Directors, Nigeria, IOD. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Valentine Ihesirim. Finally, we have our keynote speaker of the day, who needs no further introduction, Madam Uju Catherine Ifejika. I will now hand over to Mr. Chike Aka, the moderator of the day. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. Please permit me to stand on existing protocols and jump right into the conversation for the interest of time. I'll start from the closest person to me, and then I'll walk down the line, and then walk back as well. So, Mr. Madasu, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. So the first question for you, please, we'll give about 2 minutes to respond, and then we'll go down the line and then walk back again, right? So, Mr. Madasu, good afternoon, sir. The first question of the day. It is estimated that roughly 50% of marginal fields awarded till date have been unable to achieve full production. What mechanics can NUPRC put in place to improve the ratio between awarded and producing marginal fields?
Okay, thank you so much. Before I start my 2 minutes, let me greet senior SP Council members present here, the sponsors, organizers of this program, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to everyone. So the question is, what are those mechanisms that we have put in place? And also let me thank Engineer Barrister Uju Ifejuka, who has basically done most of the work here this afternoon. Thank you so much, man. Yes. Having said that, I also want us to understand the two regimes that we have with respect to how it impacts on what we call marginal feeds. So first, in the pre-PIA, we used to call it marginal feed, but post-PIA, please let's correct it. We don't longer have any marginal feed. What we have are smaller assets. Post-PIA, they don't have to pay any overriding royalty. They are not limited by any debt in terms of development. Having said that, what have we done to enable progressing the new awardees? Okay, so first, the percentage performance for those old ones is actually 60%, so that we note it and correct it properly, not 50. The second thing I want to say is that as a regulator, we understand the challenges around development of marginal feeds. Remember, after non-performance in 2020, some marginal feeds, about 12 of them were revoked. So we understand the challenges. And some of them has also been highlighted today by the keynote speaker and also some other persons that have spoken. What we have done, we start with finance. We understand that marginal feed, even though smaller assets, you still need to put in so much to develop. And what we are putting together in another 2 months is we are bringing financiers. We are bringing traders, oil traders. We are bringing servicing companies. For us we are bringing operators. We are bringing all the PPL awardees. We are even bringing in the old marginal feed operators. The reason why we are bringing them together is for us to evolve, to work out a strategy of financing. I give you a quick example. I'm sure that Mr. Valentine will also talk so much on that. If you are, as an asset holder, when you want to go to marginal feeds, you want to start your development and you don't have the money, there is nothing wrong with you engaging strategically some of all these service providers to say, let's collaborate, because the industry is working together. That has clearly been highlighted in Madam's presentation today. let's work together. I have this deposit of fund. I can give you a little of this so that you have that fund to pay your workers. You have your equipment. When I get to first oil, then I start paying you. A lot of times, that is supposed to work, but we, as a country, as Nigeria, that will not work because a lot of people will not stay on the contracts they have signed. Immediately they start getting first oil, you start seeing a lot of quarrel, you start seeing all of that. So we are even ready as a regulator to see how we can, not mediating, but stand to guarantee that kind of agreement. That is one. The second one is that we're also going to invite oil traders who will then sit in that conversation, in that forum, create avenue to network where you will engage potential asset developers who will then put money up front, and then when you get to first oil, you work out a mechanism of them getting back their fund. The third thing that we also notice is governance. A lot of people are not on production today because of so much quarrel. There is no proper corporate governance across a lot of owners. We understand that. The third or the fourth one I want to say, we also recognize that there are some hindrances in people getting to production. And that is why even some of the regulations that we have, I give you an example, extended well test. We are currently reviewing that. Presently, you can do a maximum of 2 before you will do no more. We are currently reviewing that to see how we can then, give a sort of extension under certain conditions such that you'll be able to get more fund as you carry out your extended well test and also, generate some revenue on that. Number 5, we also know that data is an issue. And so when you have issue with data, for those that really want to carry out studies, which we encourage because a lot of people go into development of their field without necessarily understanding the dynamics of their field. And so when they enter, they begin to have problems. But if you carefully want to carry out studies and you don't have those data, if you approach the regulator, we will then give you a buffer to see how we can then work that one out between yourselves and our NDR, National Data Repository. These and others are things that we are putting together. Of course, we are fine-tuning our regulatory processes to see how we can then also enable and fast-track regulatory process in such a way that it will enable your business. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amadasu, for highlighting how the regulatory body NUPRC is creating a key enabling environment for smaller asset operators to come in and thrive. Thank you very much. My next question is for Mrs. Veronica Folorunshaw of Gaba Noella. Gaba Noella started out as an all-services provider before transitioning successfully as an operator and equity owner. Can you please highlight what enabled that transition and what were your 3 contributing factors thus far?
Thank you so much, Chike, and let me stand on all existing protocol and the organizers of this program. It's a encouraged program that I think we need to have more of those in the industry. But upon standing the existing protocol, I still want to say thank you, Madam, for paving way for some of us. Like you rightly said, the journey hasn't been easy. We've not been too long in these decision-making role, but I can imagine what you've gone through in the last 16 years. Sometimes we don't remember to even make up or to do our hair. We think we're men, but I think we'll have to be coming back to the reality that we're still women. So let me come back to the question. Chike, you asked that what prompted us or what encourages us to move or transition from the oil servicing to the full E&P company. What came to mind, I would say vision and career fulfillment. Some of us have that burning passion in us, that little is not enough for us. We just think we've done it, we've seen it all, in one area, and then we are evolving every day. So for us, we're vision-driven in Gabanuela, and we have an endpoint that we're targeting. And that endpoint is to become an integrated A&P company. For us, we're very intentional in our investment philosophy, and we're systemic in our development approach. Currently, we have our footprint with majority stakeholding in 3 marginal fields. I mean, you can see we're working out our strategy. We're working out our investment approach. And gradually, we will get to where we're going. We're letting the cat out of the bag, and we're doing that in phases. So I would say that is what motivated us to be where we are. You asked, what are the 3 major highlights? They're not far-fetched. The main thing for us is the full exposure and obligation. Coming from where you're coming from, and now you're faced head-on with the responsibilities and the challenges to manage an A&P company. It is not the same. Even though all of us in Gabanuela were from different, we've worked for different IOCs, we've worked for different nationals, but it's not the same when you're facing it head-on, and like Dr. Bukola said, under different dynamics environment. So you're facing different challenges, you're having different exposure, so that is a major highlight. And then coming back to one of the things Madam Uju mentioned before, collaboration. Collaboration and stakeholders management, it is not an easy task to do. It's one thing to have the technical expertise to manage what you need to do, but it's another thing to possess that thing, what it takes to manage different stakeholders. Before, you are providing services to people, you finish your service, you have a handshake. But this time around, you're married with so many people that you're not of the same vision, you're not of the same ideology, and yet you have to make it work. Now you're faced with so many contractors with different agendas, you have to make it work. And the stakeholders management, my friend here, we have to be their friend as much as fighting them. You have to manage them. You have your financiers, you have your bank to manage. So that on its own it's a big spectrum of management that if you don't have what it takes, it could be daunting. And then the major but fulfilling highlight for me as a person is the knowledge demonstration and the knowledge acquisition. We've worked for more than 25 years in the industry. You think you've seen it all? No. You're here to demonstrate and exhibit all that you've learned in different areas, in different sections, but at the same time, you're proud of yourself for what you've acquired, for what you've been. But at the same time, now you're faced with management of the broader spectrum of the activities for the operation. So for you, you don't have the luxury of learning and going back to review what you've learned. As you're learning different things, you have to learn it in depth. I come from a finance background, but I can interpret logs, like Madam said. I can tell you the coordinates. I just didn't get there. I can tell you the sequence of drilling. I can tell you when you're telling me what you're doing, casings and all that. I can speak to you. I can have a conversation as an engineer for more than 5 minutes. It is not easy. It's not more. You didn't start yesterday. But you thought you've known it all, but in this capacity, you have to be learning and unlearning. And the most challenging part is as you're learning, you have to be taking decisions. As you're getting deeper in what you're doing, you have to be taking decisions. That to me is a major highlight, but guess what? It's fulfilling. I'm enjoying it, and I think we're ready for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think a key takeaway from that is learning and implementing in real time, on the fly. There's no practice. This is the real deal. This is the real deal. Thank you very much, Mrs. Folorunsho. My next question is for Dr. Bukola Olushola of Matrix Energy. Within an 18-month time frame, Matrix Energy drilled 2 wells and performed a re-entry on a 3rd well using a hydraulic workover unit. What were the key drivers that enabled a smaller asset operator to achieve such laudable feats within such a short period of time?
Thank you. So, good afternoon again, and standing on existing protocol of the House. Permit me to, first of all, salute you, Madam. I salute your courage, and listening to your story, I could see a lot of work that you had put in to achieve those success. So for me to start by answering your question, I would say that the key driver starts with our people. Our people are very instrumental to our success. And during my sponsor's remark, I had mentioned that we are running by our own template. We are not competing with anyone. We are running by our own template, a template that aligns with our vision, our people, and our culture. And when I talk about our people, I'll break it into two. Leadership. We're working under the leadership of Abdulkabil Adisa Aliu, a visionary leader that believes so much in contributing to this nation and also job creation. So everything we do is based on the vision that we have set out. Secondly, our people. We leverage on young professionals. We have a fantastic set of them within our organization that even though you're an engineer, we make sure you pass through a multidisciplinary training program that allows you to work in other disciplines. So that's another thing that we incorporate into our development strategy. So the first is our people. They are a valuable asset. Secondly is our contracting strategy. Our contracting strategy is performance-based. We don't have the luxury of doing invitations to tender all the time. So what we'll do is we'll roll over contracts from one well to the other, but only with the high-performing vendors. For the low ballers, we drop them, and we'll pick up another contractor that is able to provide similar services. That helps us to shorten our contracting strategy. Also, our organization structure. We allow experts to manage experts. So even though we started out as a downstream business, we didn't say the downstream guy should manage the upstream business. We allowed upstream people to manage upstream people. And that has helped us to gain significant progress in the industry. Also, what has also helped us is availability of funds. Through creativity, we've been able to manage our funds effectively and also run simultaneous operations that helps us to reduce our operating cost. The other thing that we'll also incorporate early into our development strategy is knowing what to own and what to hire. Just like Madam Uju mentioned, there are certain things that you must own. It's more economical for you to own them than to rent them. So early enough, we are able to mark out those things that we should own rather than things that we should hire. And lastly, we are in charge of our operations. We are the experts. We are the ones running the operations. So we believe in diversity, and we also seek opinion of others. But when it comes to decision making, we take the decisions because we know what we want to do. So those are some of the key drivers that have helped us thus far in achieving the progress that we have achieved. But to rank them all, which is the most important for us, I would say it's our people, our staff. They are the key drivers to our success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bukola. So recruiting and retaining the right people and rewarding high-performing contractors. And the last one, you spoke about money. We'll come back to the money because that was very important. But ensuring you have working capital to execute your project. I'll move right on to Mr. Valentine. Mr. Valentine, thank you so much for being here and for the services that you provide. Without you and your company, a lot of us won't have work, so thank you for being here. The first question of the day, availability of rigs is a major factor to achieve success in the smaller fields development area. As the leading rig contractor in the swamp terrain, how do you de-risk opportunities and decide who to work for?
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, before I answer that question, I would like to say thank you to SPE, the sponsors, our regulators, our clients, and all our service partners. And thank you, Madam Uju, for your wealth of experience. Yes, as the leading indigenous contractor, first of all, let me say that what we all are doing here is very audacious. It is very audacious. If I may digress a little bit, if I look at everybody in this room, I see Africans. I don't see any expatriates. Maybe if there is, I'm not seeing you. The population of Africa right now is like 1.4 billion. 65% of that population is below 25. The median age for Africa is 20. Let that sink in a bit. That population needs energy. Energy for infrastructure, energy for clothing, agriculture, everything that is required to become a modern society. What we're doing in this room, we are delving into the sphere of global energy. Give yourself a round of applause. For us as OES Energy Services, we are into rig provision. We have been around for a while, since 2006, 2007. It has been challenging, but we have made great success. At the moment, OES Energy Services, we have drilled well over 110 wells in the Niger Delta. The decision to pick who we work for, and just like what everybody has said here, is based on knowledge. A lot of the marginal field players have delved into a sphere where they do not have the full knowledge to execute, to deliver. So a lot are on the learning curve. Just like Madam Uju said, starting off with an initial number of round about 50 thereabouts, and we have well under half that are actually producing. So for us, we make sure that our client to be, as a marginal field operator, understands what they're about to delve into. For us, there's a major risk. Our assets consume round about 30% of the well cost. Our assets are the first to go if there happens to be a disaster. Our assets house, on an average, 100, 120 people in remote locations. So the risks are quite high for us. So first of all, there has to be knowledge. Then the second, of course, is the financial capability. This is an extremely expensive venture. It needs liquidity. It's not something you say the money will come 1 month, 2 months, 3 months later. To have optimum performance, there has to be a basic level of liquidity. So we need to look at that. And then, finally, we look at collaboration. In most instances, we see marginal players who go off in different tangents. You see some people come in and mother, father, brother, sister, everybody wants to participate. But for goodness sake, we say no. Let us work with people who are competent, people who we can collaborate with, such that we get in and get out successfully. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Valentine. I'll move on to Mrs. Uju Fejika. Britain Ayu's journey and success in the Nigerian marginal field space is one for the history books. Looking back at your journey through the years, what were the 3 biggest challenges you faced, and how were you able to overcome them?
Thank you once again. There are numerous challenges, but you just asked for 3. One is, the major one is funding. And then having contractors, the service providers that are really genuine. Because some of them, they don't really understand or have the deep understanding of the services that they provide. And when they get in there, something that would take like 5 days, 10 days, it will take them 2 months. And forgetting that it is a day rate. Okay? And the other thing is, regulatory changes from time to time. Initially, with the marginal field, you had certain fiscal regime. That has changed completely with the new PIA. So if you have made the budget that, okay, is 2.5, that is royalty, now that is not that. Even to the point now where you're looking at if the okay, so if the oil price benchmark is $70 and the price goes to 100, the government expects you to pay some, amount on that difference. All things are equally a big challenge to a small indigenous company that is struggling to survive. So all this, we need to really look at it. Government is the owner of these fields. The individual marginal field operators are partners. But if partnership is about when your partner is sick, you should be able to look at it. What is wrong with your partner? How do we make you to start, to be okay so that you continue to be a going concern? All those, although the new NUPRC now, they are trying to, get to listen and then to see what needs to be done. But there are lots of things. Those are the major challenges, because even if you go and take money today, the money today now, the banks, they have increased the interest rate based on CBN increased rates. If you have that, which bank, which investor will come to Nigeria when your dollar interest rate is 18%? How will you now operate, and then your cash flow will be such that you'll be able to pay back? Even 10 years you will not. That is, we are here now, we don't know what happens. This is from 9% to now 18%. So how do you, that is the major issue. And the government, we expect them to have a fund. Although Mr. Mamadas said they're looking at it, it's not partnering with, because that's another problem again, going to get traders. Some of them you do forward sale, and for whatever reason you're not able to operate, they will take over your field. So we need to, if we can provide money for agric, we can provide money for Nollywood, why don't we provide funds at a low interest digit for where your main source of revenue is? Whether you like it or not, they're talking of greener energy, exiting fossil fuel. It's not going to be possible in the next 30, 40 years. Reason, Nigeria is a gas nation, but we have not tapped the gas in this country. Why? Because there are no gas gathering infrastructure. If anybody is telling you that gas master plan this, it's not going to work. I stand to be corrected. I said it 2010, and it's happening up to now. Why? You must get gas gathering infrastructure in strategic location that people will now load their gases. In which case, if for local one, if you have 2 or 3, when you have how many fields? So those are some of the major challenges. Now, if you're going to create, and then another thing that was mentioned, though it's not yet, but I cannot go and get money. Government, give me money. Then you say you want to take gas because you want to use it for domestic consumption. It's not going to work. So if you want that, put down money. Let us all work. You know that you want to take gas. You take gas. It has to be at prevailing commercial price. You will not do it at your own price. No. because this is what somebody borrowed money to go and do. Government need to come out and support the indigenous company. You can't support it by writing. We need practical this thing, that you can go in there. If you don't pay back the money they give you, they are free to take over your asset. But let them create that enabling environment. Those are major key challenges that we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Ifejika, for highlighting the key enabling environments needed for success in our industry. Thank you very much. I'll come right back to Mr. Amadasu, who's next to me. Sir, your second question. The 2020 bid round received about 590 applications, out of which 80 were deemed eligible for about 57 marginal fields. Ultimately, some bidders that were successful were paired with people that they might not have known before the bid round. What is your evaluation of this process thus far, and what areas of improvement do you see?
Okay, moderator, thank you so much for that question. So the answer straight away to you, the question is that it's working. We are seeing very good progress, and I will explain. Between 2003 and 2020, when some of the blocks were revoked and all that, we had about 60% or thereabouts success. And if you look at the period between that time, that's about 17 years. So if you have 60% success in 17 years, I want you to step back a little bit. From the time that this award was given to some of the PPL awardees that we eventually marry, and I will come to why the strength in doing that. From that time to date, we already have almost 20 of them that have drilled out about 1 or 2 wells. They have re-entered. Some of them are already doing EWT. And if you dimension that properly, within a year or two, you already have 20% success. So if you project that, it means in another 3 or 4 years, you probably will have about 100% success. Now, what's the strength in bringing everybody together? In this forum, we have talked about everybody working collaboratively together. There is strength in when you have certain fund, A and a party B, we also bring certain fund, and party C, we also bring certain fund. And then when they put together, it becomes easier to develop an asset. Then the second thing is that if you bring all the technical expertise of all the parties that were meshed together, and they begin to work collaboratively together, you discover that seamlessly, it will be easier again to bring the assets to development. However, we have also seen that there is also a minus in all that, and that's what we are working on. If you put a well-structured governance in place to manage an asset, so you ask yourself, almost all the deep water, is there any IOC that is single-handedly developing any deep water or most of these offshore? The answer is no. So what they did was all of them coming together and each of them getting some equity, and everybody bringing their expertise together. And that is how they have developed all our deep offshore and some of our offshore assets. So we believe that the same thing should work if proper governance is put in place, if proper management structure, both at operational level and at steering committee level, is put in place. When you put all that, the progress we are seeing will continue to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amadasu. I highlighted 2 things, key corporate governance and then also the importance of collaboration. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Thank you very much. Please, I'll move on to Mrs. Folorunsho. This is a money question, madam. With recent signature bonuses ranging from $1 million to $20 million, and capex and OPEC costs for marginal fields ranging from $10 million to over $100 million, how can potential operators access scarce yet critical funding? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. To answer that, I think we all agree that we need to first and foremost dimension the issues or the circumstances around the oil and gas operation itself. I'm sure everybody will agree with me here that there are two critical, undeniable obstacles or funding or financial obstacles that everybody in the industry is experiencing now. We're all exposed to it. One, the global risk, and two, the national or country risk. The global risk is evident. We're all currently being faced, or we're battling with the pressure of substituting fossil fuel with renewable or the so-called alternative energy. That being said, we've seen so many investors, so many financiers withdrawing their fund from the oil and gas. Though some of them are political, but we're all faced with what we have. Coming back home, Nigeria as a country, Madam Uju was telling us her story the other time, and myself and Dr. Bukola were laughing that we wish we were in your era. Because then, the way you keep saying, I go to the bank, I present my case to them, and they listen to you, they look at the viability of what you have, right? And they attend to you. In this day, you know what it is. They won't, in fact, immediately they hear oil and gas, they just tell you, go, 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 go. And then we ask ourselves, that is in addition to what we're all faced with. We're faced with both the macro and the micro economic issues here, the security issues. We know what that is doing to our foreign funding, foreign direct funding into the country. So we have all those to contend with. And here we are. Some of us have found ourselves. I'm sure we're having this symposium today because we all believe in the marginal field operation. So it's not that we're thinking of going into it, we're already in it. Now, how do we resolve that? For us in Gabanuela, what we're adopting, and I would recommend that we could all go through that, and that was why I'm trying to go through the process. We're adopting the phasing of the work program, phasing of your operation mechanism. And what do I mean by phasing? We're trying to break the field development activities operation, break it into different phases. We're all into marginal field, and we know how marginal field works. The dynamics of being profitable in marginal field is resting upon your efficient operation and your reduced overheads. So when you face your operation, you face your work program, you have that part, that this is the part that I'm going to do. You will re-enter, we'll do your data reassurance, subsurface reassurance. So that is a phase on its own before you get to the full field development phase. That being said, if you already faced it, then you are likely and you are prone to attract some other fundings that you probably won't be able to attract if you are going full force into the market or looking for funding. And such funding or such options that are available that we probably are not looking at before, that we're being creative about, are angel investors. I don't know whether we know much about angel investors. Angel investors and financiers, they were being used more by the fintech industry. They're using it a lot. And we sat back and said, why can't we do that? Why can't we approach the angel investors? Angel investors are individuals. I don't want to call them wealthy, comfortable individuals that have the net worth to come into smaller business ventures, believing in the potentials, they invest in it, all in the returns for equity, or some returns that would have been agreed. So if you face your work program, if you face your operational requirement, that in turn is facing your working capital or your funding requirement. You will be exposed, or you'll be attractive to such investors like angel investors. You'll be attractive to contractor financing. You'll be attractive to family circle financing. Most of us have our families. There's so much money in this country. There's so much money in this economy. But like we've all been saying, most of our people are just not interested in coming to oil and gas because they seem not to understand it. So when we break our operation, you are likely to attract such funding. But There is a but there. To be able to attract these type of options or the creative funding that I'm talking about, you need to have two measures in place. One, you need to have establishment of your sound corporate governance. That is the mistake that we've seen. There have been so many researches, there have been so many studies about how we run the marginal field businesses or operations. So for us to be able to attract such kind of funding, have your corporate governance well established. With that, you will give the investors the guarantee, the assurance that their monies are safe. This is what they're expecting. And then the second major thing is make sure that each project that you face is bankable on its own. Don't just say, oh, when we get to the second phase, you'll be able to make this money. No. And what do we mean by being bankable? Being bankable means that on its own, you run the economics, you do the evaluation, that project on its own can pay back. It's profitable. With that, it will be so attractive. It will be self-funding. So when you're going into your re-entry work program, for example, you need to be able to tell your angel investor, you need to be able to tell your contractor financier that if we go into this, after 6 months, by the time we re-entry, we start producing, we may not at that time be able to procure some of those facilities and equipment. We may for the first 3 months or 6 months be leasing. And while we're leasing, as soon as we get into the field, we produce, we start paying back the money. But one thing that we need to do though, we need to have our subsurface reassurance. You need to have that before any of these hybrid or creative measures or options that I said will be able to come and listen to you. Even the contractor financiers, they want to see that and be sure that you know what you're doing. So with facing the operation, you are breaking down your funding requirement, and at the same time, having your corporate governance sound one established, you're giving your prospective financiers the guarantee and the assurance they need, and you're making the project itself bankable. This is what we're doing in Gabanuela, and it seems to be working out for us. Having 3 assets is not an easy task to manage, but we're working through it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Folorunsho. So being creative about how we access funding is critical to succeeding. And the two enablers are corporate governance, right? And then also ensuring that you have the right environment to succeed. So thank you very much. Moving right on to Dr. Bukola. Marginal fields are often operated in close proximity to host communities. From your experience as an operator, how do you incorporate these communities into asset development while still maintaining sustainable operations?
Thank you. So we're in an era where communities, be it impacted or host communities, are a critical part of operations. And for any project to be sustainable, it is important that you have their understanding at the beginning of your project. So what we do at Matrix is to start with, in fact, our operations started with community sensitization of what we have and what we intend to do in their community and how they will benefit from our operations. So that relationship needs to be established before you even move any equipment to any location. So it is important. You also need to know the critical stakeholders in each of those communities, the people that you can call at any time to help you talk to certain individuals within the community should there be a need for intervention. So that is important. And also, as you progress your operations, it is important that you continually sustain that communication and relationship with them with respect to your operation. Secondly, there are certain projects that you should ring first for the community vendors. So when I say community vendors now, I don't mean hired vendors from outside the community. I mean vendors that are from that community, because it is by empowering those local vendors from their community that you can empower the other people in the village, because empowering one vendor means that his relatives, his families are going to benefit from the revenue generated from that project. So it is important that you are intentional about your development and ring-fencing some of your projects to them. Also very critical is needs assessment. You need to carry out a needs assessment, communicate with them and identify, okay, what areas can we support you? What areas is it education?
Is it power? Whatsoever needs that they have. You may not be able to do everything immediately, but you can break it down into what you can handle within the short, medium, and long term. So based on that, you work together with them with respect to contributing to their host community. And also, very critical now is the setting up of the board of trustees, which needs to be managed carefully so that the individuals with the right integrity and professionalism are nominated to sit on the board, because that goes a long way in influencing how your operations will be going forward. So it's important that you also work with the critical stakeholders there in setting up the board of trustees, because we are in that era where for everything you don't do or you do, we have community members that are able to correct you. So it's important that you are transparent with them and you're able to relate with them at a level where even if they take the matter before the regulatory body, they would give them the same response or the same feedback that you had given them. So those are some of the things that we at Matrix have incorporated into our development and so far helped us to manage them. Not that there won't be challenges or issues, but what is important is you continue to engage them to resolve all issues and you progress with your operations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pukola. So front-end engagement, continued conversations, and then empowering people from the host communities through contract awards as long as they deserve them on a merit basis. Thank you very much. I'll move on to Mr. Valentine. In this challenging financial era that we find ourselves in, a lot of operators are opting for turnkey solutions to drill their wells. What is your company's position on this, and what has your experience been thus far?
Thank you for that. First of all, turnkey, the concept of turnkey is not bad. And most times, people go into turnkey for various reasons. The two clear reasons, one would be where the client does not have the surface administrative infrastructure, technical know-how. Then the second would be where the client probably wants to share some risk. But the most important bit for anyone that is going into turnkey is to, first of all, work the process from A to B. Identify all steps of the program, identify all the risks, be upfront about it, and lastly, realize that it is not a commodity that you're purchasing where you can say, why not at this price? For example, if you want to undergo brain surgery, I doubt you would sit down and negotiate price with the brain surgeon. There's got to be a price to pay for offloading some of that risk. So the conversation has to be clear and honest. And in terms of financing and payment, there are several things that can be done, but what we do, our approach, is to break the well down into sections. And we break it down in sections that can allow all parties to walk away from each section. And the easiest way is to use the casing points. So if there's funding for the top hole section, we do it. If there's no funding, we cap the well, we walk away. If there's funding for the intermediate hole section, we do it. And eventually down to the internal jewelry and the Christmas tree. So that way, it also allows the client to assess their funding mechanism, cash flow mechanism, and everybody is happy. And then lastly, which also is part of being upfront, the funding mechanism has to be clear. The funds available for each of those sections have to be clear. So most importantly, de-risking is underscored. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Valentine. So being able to compartmentalize the project and having a clear line of sight regarding the funding are key enablers to successful turnkey projects. Thank you very much. I'll move on to Mrs. Ifejika. The second question, DACL, Data Appraisal Company Limited, is a Britannia U affiliate. It's the first of its kind to be owned by indigenous oil and gas company. The company hires seasoned principals that provide detailed engineering analysis for complex oil and gas fields. What motivated you to start DACL, and what incentives do you see that will encourage other operators to warehouse these high technical skills in country, in Nigeria, versus offshoring them to America and other parts of the world?
Okay, thank you. You know, like I told you earlier, every obstacle we encounter is an opportunity for us to put something in place that will mitigate future, occurrences. When we drilled a dry hole, for us to get people to now go and do prognosis on what went wrong, because you are desperate. And the person said, you're going to pay them $150,000. And when I said, he said it's going to take 2 weeks. I said, no, I need it within 48 hours. He said, no, we negotiated. And he said, I said 72 hours. He said, okay, you have to pay additional 10 million. You know what that money is then? But somebody who's lost that much money, he that is down need fear no fall. So I paid, and we went ahead. And I said to myself, even the data, you're not even, they won't release everything to you. They'll just give you what you need to get your job done. So I now said, how much will it cost us to set up this? And we went ahead to set up this data appraisal subsurface engineering company. What do we intend to achieve? You have your data in-house. You have the time. It takes, you have enough time, like what we did. We did 2 wells early this year, and the 2 of them were successful, okay? Because we started working on the reservoir engineering, work, and then to look at where you need to have the coordinates. If somebody did it, I can walk into our workstation and I launch the workstation. I now look at the coordinates. Do we have hydrocarbon bearing zones there? Do we have, wells that straddles on the other side, in which case it might be plus minus. So that is the reason why we had to set that up. So our team will have enough time to go through. For every time you read a book, there's something that you pick from it that was not there when you read it the last time. And it's like that. When you're doing reserve evaluation, every time you're seeing things, if you finish, maybe you had discussion with your friends, you see, so that's one of the major factors that we have. And your data is in-house. Secondly, it's not something, yes, by the time, if you don't have money to pay the huge amount to do reserve evaluation, okay, like what we paid to Dagoya McNaughton, or what we pay for Gaffney Klein, or what you pay, it's huge. So if you don't have it, you will not be able to do anything. And without data reinterpretation, you go in for your field, you're wasting your time. Even the one that you have, it is continuous improvement. The one that they did, the well that you're re-entering, some of them is 1987, some 1997. You don't expect, there has been earth movement. So where you had the hydrocarbon today or 10 years ago, it might have migrated. So this is the reason why we had to have that. It is not an easy something because it requires a lot of money to have the printer, which is, that alone is very expensive, and then to get your software that you have to be renewing every year. So it's something that we decided to do. You provide services to even Nigerians. Instead of them going to go and do it elsewhere, you pay so much. You know, you don't need somebody to say they're flying in or they're coming in. No, you do it here. So that's the reason why.
Thank you very much, Madam. We have one more round of questions for our panelists, and then we'll move on to the audience questions. Please, if you look on your table, you see a piece of paper with a QR code. So please, if you scan that code, it will take you to Slido. So every table here has a piece of paper with a QR code. So please take this time to scan the QR code and then submit your questions. We'll be picking questions from Slido online. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we'll start with the last round of questioning. And Mr. Madasu, I'll come back to you, sir. The 2021 PIA reduced the headline tax rate for marginal fields from 85% to 45%. What effect have you seen this have thus far on the industry, and what other enablers can be deployed to unlock value?
Okay, thank you so much. The effects, we are seeing it. First, I told you the progress that we are seeing so far with the guidance of the regulator and all the other PPL awardees. We have seen a situation where within a year, you already have almost 20 of them getting to production. And one of the clarity that the arts also provided was to give what we call work program, where they said within a certain time you have to do your integrity check, re-enter your existing ware, gather data, engage on EWET so that you can also have dynamic data, put all these things together to frame your FDP, drill another way, and then you'll be in production, full production. For me, that's a very, the law has provided that clarity, and we have seen an operator, the first operator from one of the PPL awardees, getting to production in less than 1 year, under close guidance and leadership of the working with the regulator. What we have also discovered is that most of the PPL awardees that are working with consultants, because we are in a new region, the consultants, most of them, please note this, are still thinking the old way, pre-PIA. You need to work closely with the regulator for proper guidance, to be able to provide you the data that you need to be able to handhold you and take you quickly. All you need to do is just re-enter one way, get enough money, get additional money through your EWET, and also get to drill another way, and then you are in production. Remember too, I also said in my opening that the Commission is also reviewing the existing EWET guidelines. We are reviewing in such a way to open it up more for people, for PPL awardees to gather more funds. Instead of 2 circles, we are seeing how we can increase the circle for them to gather enough money so that to also help with the issue of financing. The third one, working under the leadership of our CC, Engineer Benga Kumolafe, we are evolving from what you used to know. Now we have the mandates that are being given to staff is that within 72 hours, you must complete the job that has been assigned to you. We understand regulatory process is key for you to quickly unlock all the delays. And we also, if you also remember, the 1st of this year, 1st of January, The Commission also came out with 2024 to 2026 action plan, providing clarity, providing all the guidance that you need to look at to quickly get the direction you need in the industry. The Commission is also working on its automation to ensure that all the processes are automated such that will reduce the processing time. All this put together, we believe we also help to enable the PPL awardee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Madasu. The Commission is ready, willing, and able to work with industry players to bring them to success. Mrs. Folorenshaw, please, your final question. Government-driven initiatives like the Fiscal Incentives Directive, just recently launched in March, introduce commercial enablers for deep water and also grants gas tax credits for NAG greenfield projects. In summary, how soon can we see more national players like yourself, Gaba and Noella, in these two areas, in deep water offshore, as well as playing in the NAG gas space?
Thank you so much for that question, because we are directly involved. One of our assets actually qualifies for those incentives. We have an asset that is a high GOR asset. It's a stranded asset, and at the same time qualifies for the Greenfield project. However, let's come back to the basic. We all know that to run and be profitable in marginal field business, the success of any marginal field operation is premised on reduction of your overheads and the efficiency of your system, right? And then we ask ourselves, what culminates into those two factors that we talked about? Coming back to what obtains right now, government is pushing out some incentives, commercial incentives, let me call it that way. However, going back to the basics, like I said, we have an asset that falls into this category. But this asset exactly is a prototype of what so many assets are suffering right now. One, this asset is a stranded asset in terms of facility. Even though the IOCs that have it for their own operation, they have so many fields that were undeveloped because of this constraint. In terms of infrastructure, in terms of collaboration with other marginal field operators, we're lacking that opportunity for people to work together to be able to reduce costs. So we can go on and be mentioning those constraints, those issues that are on ground. So until we resolve those basic issues, until we clear them out, we won't be able to enjoy those incentives that governments are putting in place. So what we've been clamoring for, we've had one or two engagements with the Commission, with the CCE, and I'm glad our friend is here to take it back home. We need more of initiatives and programs whereby we could collaborate in the industry. Government should set up those initiatives that will help all of us. He mentioned it the last time he was talking, and we're willing and praying that those initiatives will begin to materialize. Because government is sitting on a repository of data and information. I'm not just talking about subsurface data. The kind of facility networks we have in the country, the kind of constraint, what each and every one of us is doing in their own space, in their own corner. Government, the commission representing government has all those information. It took some of us that have been in the industry for a while to be using our network to reach out to people that are in the same neighborhood to say, can we collaborate together? Can we reduce the costing? If we do things together, we'll share the cost, and then we'll be able to achieve government goal of maximizing reserves in that area. So yes, to answer your question, how soon will national operators be able to come in and enjoy this? When we have these constraints and these issues being mitigated, being removed, then you will see so many companies coming into that space. That is the major thing that we need to do for government to be able to actualize the aspiration in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Boka, please permit me to break protocol. Mr. Madasu would like to respond to Madam's statement.
Okay, thank you so much. I thought that question would have actually come to the government person. Okay, so thank you, Madam, for that beautiful response. Okay, so I just want to also note that how we came about those incentives. We discovered that because we needed to unlock a lot of potentials in this country with respect to gas resource, a lot of major projects were identified that we now call, that are enablers for gas decade gas decades. So we engage the industry players, mainly those that are still having NAG resources in them. And everybody came up to say that the reason, one of the major reasons why those resources are still locked up there is to look at the physicals. So physicals, like you said, infrastructure. Okay, so government cannot go and put infrastructure there. It is the operator, the owners of the asset that go and put infrastructure. Government then decide to go back because we listen to the industry. Some of these assets have been there for 30 years, 25 years. And we can't afford to just allow them to continue to stay. And so government sat down, came out with different models, depending on distance from terrain, depending on so many other factors. And then we then came out with that incentive on the physicals. And so what you are seeing is that after gazetting the physicals, the next thing that we have to do, which is what is presently going on, is to now operationalize it. And that's what we are doing. We are currently working on the guideline that will quickly operationalize that so that those owners of those assets can then quickly lash onto that and start unlocking the values. The second thing, government will only encourage asset owners to collaborate. And I can tell you, there are two sets of PPLs, awardees, working in the deep offshore that were giving offshore blocks. They came together. Presently, they are doing joint developments. We encourage them to do joint development. They will do joint development, we'll look at the asset, and also give them the field development plan that will take care of that joint development. So ours is to encourage you, the owner of the asset, is to sit together, look at all those opportunities, and synergize and work together. If you look at cost, if the cost of development of smaller assets is so expensive, but when you put a common facility that both of you will share together, it probably will bring down the CapEx. So we encourage small asset owner, the PPL awardees, to work together in order to quickly unlock these values.
Thank you very much, Mr. Madasu, for highlighting the ways the Commission is unlocking value. We are grateful for all you have done and also looking forward to more, sir. So thank you. Moving on to Dr. Bukola. Your last question. For marginal field operators who may not have an asset portfolio or financial liquidity as robust as, say, the IOCs, how does one hedge against the potential price volatility of hydrocarbons?
Thank you. So typically in field development, there are certain factors that are outside your control. But what you do is to focus on what is within your own control. So crude oil price is a parameter that we can control. So what you do is to focus on your cost of development. And to control your cost, your project management strategy needs to be very apt. It starts with your scope of work. What do you want to do? It has to be as detailed as possible. And then we can now talk about your budget, the time you want to achieve this project. It has to be achievable, reasonable, and then the quality of work that you want to deliver at the end of your project. The quality is largely impacted by the type of contractors that you use for your operations. So it is important that you control your cost of operations using the right project management strategy. Also, you need to ask yourself, my field development program, can I break this program into different phases? Which one should I start first?
that will enable me get to first oil, because that's the most critical thing, getting to first oil, because you can be busy and not achieving results. So it's important that you focus on activities that will deliver results. And also, it's important for you to be largely, for the leadership team, to be largely involved in the operations. You have to be sure that at the end of that activity, what would come out of it aligns with your business vision. Because if you spend millions of dollars just acquiring data, and at the end of the day, you are not up to production, you've just spent some time and some money, but what you have is not enough to take it to where you're going. So your field development program and your work program must be prepared in such a way that it takes you to your destination. And also, to control your cost of operations, you also need to have a robust stakeholders management strategy. You need to manage your partners very well. You need to manage your community very well. And also, you need to work closely with the regulatory authority, because the rules are different. There are many permits that is required now than before. So you need to work closely with the regulatory authority so that they guide you. So in doing all of this, what you're trying to do is to reduce your cost of operations and make sure you don't have any disruption in your operations, because time is money at this time where we have fluctuations in the foreign exchange at the moment. And it's also important, your contracting strategy. I would advise to try as much as possible to lock in your prices now, because of a lot of fluctuations happening right now with respect to the lack of foreign currency in the country. So if you can lock in your prices now and then you roll them over from project to project, that would go a long way in helping you with respect to your operations. So essentially, you control your cost, and by controlling your cost, you are able to increase your profit margin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bukola. So cost control, and then cost control. Thank you very much. Mr. Valentine, your last question, please. OES is Nigeria's largest indigenous swamp rig provider. You have invested over $400 million to acquire 5 drilling rigs in the Niger Delta. How did you identify this gap in the market, and what key enablers softened your landing into the industry?
I think by now we all know there's really no softening of landing. What we're doing is very audacious. Remember, sometime in the past, most of the sectors which we play, or most of the companies or services that we all provide, was once provided by some foreign company. So eventually, we had to make the audacious move and strides going forward. Courtesy of the Local Content Act, we as OES, we strongly believe in the Local Content Act. Sometime in the early 2000s, when we had some foreign multinationals in the drilling contractor space stepping out, we saw that as an opportunity. So that is the foresight. Then secondly, we also had to put some financial muscle behind it. It wasn't easy. Just like the story of Madame Uju, how often she had to go seeking for financing. These assets are not cheap. We're talking about assets in the order of $70, $80 million each. And then if you talk about bigger assets, deep offshore assets, you're talking somewhere close to $1 billion. But for the swamp rigs, we invested heavily. Then the third item is we had to look for competent people. Like I said before, if you want to do brain surgery, brain surgery, you have to look for a brain surgeon. So if you want people who would run these assets, who would help you extract the black gold, you have to look for experience. So we as a company, we went out looking for competent people who can actually run these assets. I can say when we started operation, our local content percentage was somewhere around about the early 80s, 82, 83%. But as I speak, our local content number percentage is 99%. So that is an achievement. And we are grateful to government for the Local Content Act. It is not perfect. There are still opportunities to fine-tune and enhance and to support indigenous players. Like I had said before, we have drilled over 110 wells. We have drilled 4 high-pressure, high-temperature wells. We have even taken a step further by venturing into deep water through our Deepwater JV partnership. So we eventually managed to bring in 2 deepwater assets into the country, and that has been our journey so far. Not only that, we eventually became the clear leader for Chevron's operation. So what is that? It's an award that Chevron gives out from time to time, and that award is global. So for OES as a company, we won the Chevron's Clear Leader Award globally as the best drilling contractor in the swamp terrain globally. Finally, it's because we believe in what we do. So we're not in the business like a flash in the pan. We're here for the long haul. We believe in adding value for marginal field clients. We want to help. We want production attainment. We want employment opportunities. We want to support our country in the path of development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Valentine, for clarifying that there was no softening. It was straight into the deep end. And you have to be bold and audacious when opportunities arise. Madam, would you please, your last question. In your view, what additional support can the NUPRC or the government provide to encourage more players to enter the marginal field space while simultaneously enabling existing players to expand their portfolio? So encouraging new entrants while encouraging existing players to expand and grow.
Yeah, I think NUPRC, they are not doing badly, but the only thing is that there need to be more collaborative, relationship between the old marginal field owners and the recently acquired ones. How do I mean by that? You see, everybody is saying NUPRC. Anyway, the team at the NUPRC today, we're not the one that re-engineered the PIA. Okay, the PIA was done. Yes, they meant to do something, but the way it was structured and everything and the engagement was not really what it's supposed to be. So you have lacunas here and there. But the good thing is that when you raise issues to the current NUPRC management, they listen. But there has to be more collaborative relationship by constant engagement. Because if you don't discuss with me, you won't know where I have pain. I can keep quiet. At the end of the day, I don't invest. A lot of people are divesting. They're going to countries where they're giving them, tax holidays. We don't have that here. We need to have that because if the indigenous companies are having challenges raising money, now if you raise money, you have to have time within which to pay back, and not where you have, they say, yeah, pay tax, pay this, pay that. You're going to countries where they are ready to receive Nigerians, receive the international companies, and they give them tax holidays. We have to look at what is it that making these people, even when they want to leave, they go there, they see that what we are giving them is better than what they're getting there, so they don't go. So these are the things that NUPRC need to look at. And us, even the local indigenous community, we should be bold enough to come out and, you know, notify them of the challenges, real challenges that we have. Because if you don't say what your challenges are, somebody who, you go to hospital and the doctor said, oh, why are you here? He said, oh, it's okay, everything is okay. But you know that you're really, really sick. So we need to, that's why I said it's a collaboration. We need to engage them more. And they need to, there has to be a lot of review of the PIA. And then look at what is obtainable in all the other West African countries. We cannot become the giant of Africa, and now we can become the dwarf of Africa. It's not possible. Okay, so that is what needs to be done. It has to be both the old one, because even the old marginal field operators, they're not having it easy. And the new ones, you know, if it's that easy, at 57, we should have at least 35 that is operational. It's 2 years now. So we need to, is it doable? Yes, is it doable? Can the government support in other areas? Most international funding group, they don't deal with individuals. They deal with government. Okay, so our government should equally look at those things and then key into that. The only thing is that you give conditions that will make people, when you take money, not to go and be using it to go and build houses or go and marry 4 wives. You know, so, and then go and be going on a cruise. We need to have the money. You have to have the milestones that are achievable. And as you give that milestone, it behoves on the government to check those milestones. And if you don't meet it, there'll be sanctions, there'll be things. So I think that's my own take. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Uju. So collaboration and financial accountability. Those are the key watchwords. Thank you very much. So we're done with the, I guess, physical questions, as I'll couch it. It's now time for the online questions. So we'll select a few of them from Slido. And some of these are addressed to individuals. So, Mr. Madasu, a happy coincidence. I'm back to you, sir. This is a very focused question. How soon should we expect another bid round for marginal fields? Short and sweet.
Okay, thank you so much. I said before, under PIA, there is no more marginal field. So bid round is bid round. So what you have, the asset that you have, is the same thing with your neighbor, Chevron. So, okay, so the question now is how soon? And for some of us that were in the last conference, our Commission Chief Executive announced it that it will be coming soon. As we speak, they are putting the data together. They are building the data room and putting all the processes and refining the guideline to be in line with that of the PIA. So how soon? I know that will be rolled out before the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Madusu, you're a very popular man, sir. So I'm back to you. can the NUPRC consider delaying signature bonuses and collecting them after first oil? So versus receiving the signature bonuses ahead of time, collecting them after first oil, to encourage some of us that want to enter.
Okay, thank you so much. Very, very clear. As a regulator, you have what is guiding your operations. So as we speak, we follow what the law says. The law says signature bonus is supposed to be what we set a relationship between yourself and government to indicate that we have entered into contracts. So that is what's the significance of signature bonus. And that is supposed, which means that is supposed to come before you go into development. That is one. Government also understands before now that there is that perception that the signature bonus was very high, and so government is working a process where you now have very small signature bonus. The reason is that instead of collecting the value upfront, I can decide to now collect a smaller value from you that will encourage you. So the remaining money, you now use it to develop your assets. Then government can then quickly start reaping, getting value from royalty and taxes. So government is aware of this, and government has also come with that strategy of lowering the signature bonus just to indicate that there is a contract or a deal or a relationship between yourselves or the awardees and government while they wait. So the remaining money, you take it, develop your feed, and then government will now start getting value via royalties and taxes.
Thank you very much. Distinguished panelists, at this point, I want to thank you very much for spending the time with us, taking time out of your busy schedules to come here and share your learnings and your insights with us. We are truly grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the panel. I would like us to please appreciate our panelists with a hearty round of applause. Thank you very much.
How many enjoyed the session? Ladies and gentlemen, we brought you a marginal field approver in the person of Engineer Madasu. We brought you the gatekeeper for rigs, and we brought you asset owners that own multiple assets. SPE tried, Abi. A round of applause for our panelists. Okay. We'll be bringing the event to a close after these few activities. We have some thank you awards for our guests, and then we'll have a photo session, after which vote of thanks, upcoming activities, and then the floor will be open for lunch. So for our VIPs, we have your lunch out through this door on the left. For the first 5 rows, your lunch is through those doors, straight ahead. And for the other rows, we have your lunch on the right side of the hallway. So, we would like to invite on the stage our ARD, Mrs. Ogogo Effiom, our Section Director, Mr. Ernest Mpasi, and our Section Director, Mrs. Priscilla Enwere, to give the awards to our panelists. Okay. So, please come on. We have to do it here. We'll do it here. So you give the award, the other two will come here. Is that okay? Yes. No, they will come. So we'll flank this. Okay. Over there. Oh yes, please. So you can do it. Okay, so we'd like to give the first award to Mr. Valentine Ihesirim of OES Energy. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, you can join her there. Thank you. Thank you very much for participating. The next award is for Mr. Dr. Bukola Olushola of Matrix Energy. Thank you very much for participating, sir. The next award for Mrs. Veronica Folorunshaw of Gab and Nuela Concept. Thank you very much, madam. The next award for Engineer Amadasu of NUPRC. We're very grateful. Thank you, sir. And the final award for today, is to our keynote speaker in the person of Mrs. Uju Catherine Ifejika. Thank you very much, madam. Okay. So, would like to have our sponsors also before we have a group photograph and then end the photo session. So please, can we have Temitope of Achieving, Dr. Bukola Olushola of Matrix Energy, and Mr. Ernest Mpasi of ExxonMobil. Okay, you can just give them and then let's have the, okay. Okay, so we'll have everything as one photograph. Please, yes, one photograph. While this session is happening, we want to recognize other companies we've seen in the room: Ingencia, Eliva, Tolkan, Antan, Tenoil, Baker Hughes, Walter Smith, Seplat, Century, Sahara, Cornell, MRS, Gas Avant, All Grace Energy, Chevron, Lecoil, Nepal, Pinnacle, John Joe and Partners, Ekpat, JV, Dexter Pro, Famfa Oil, Davidson Oil and Gas. We are grateful for your presence. We invite you to partner with SPE. I'm sure you've enjoyed this session. We need money to do things like this. So please partner with us on future events. So we'll have a photo session for all the panelists. Panelists, please. Can we also have the Special Projects Chair, Mrs. Hassana, for this photograph? Our Programs Chair, Mr. Dikpo Ashafa. Okay. Please, let's also have the Section Chair and the Regional Chair as well for this photograph, please. Regional Chair. Okay, she's still here. Okay, she's here. And my humble self. Thank you very much to our panelists. So we'll have the Special Projects Chair, Mrs. Hassana, to deliver the vote of thanks and upcoming activities.
Hello. A pleasant afternoon, everyone. It's been a great day. I must say, all our speakers really need another big round of applause. We've really learned a lot from them, and they actually provided great insight into how marginal field operators can survive in today's climate. We are really grateful. And on behalf of Society of Petroleum Engineers, I'm going to say thank you to all our speakers again, all the attendees, and all the section directors present here. Hey, howdy, thank you for honoring us. And also to all the committees, that actually made this technical symposium a success. From myself and Shegun, the MC, thank you for all your support. And also to the great leader, B, for all his support. Thank you all for coming. Please feel free to connect, because I'm definitely going to connect. And well done, Madam Uju and Madam Folusho, for setting the pace for we women, in the industry. Thank you so much. For the program, upcoming programs, we have, can you share that? Okay, so we have a training coming on flow assurance and well design. That is coming up on the 29th and 30th of March. Details will be sent via your emails. We also have SP Lagos Golf coming on the 5th of April, happening at Ikoyi Club. We also have SP Football Tournament coming up on the 6th of April. And also we have a distinguished lecture coming up April 29, 2024. The topic is on water flood optimization by data analytics. And we have a YP forum and career day coming on the 11th of May. All details will be shared via your email address. Finally, the last slides, please be an SP member. Please encourage all your staffs to join SP. As you all know, the benefit is enormous. Being part of a dedicated professional team like this is very key, because you gain a lot of insight about the topical issues affecting oil and gas in Nigeria. Please lunch and serve. Enjoy your lunch. For us fasting, we'll hang somewhere. Thank you all for coming.
So, launch arrangement for the first 5 rows is through this door. Launch arrangement for the other side of the room is on the right side of the room. Our VIPs, your lunch is served separately in this room, through these doors on the left. Thank you. For those who want to give to SPE, if you want to partner with us, sponsor events, the leaders are open to speak to you, including myself. So please, we're around in the room. You can speak with us and we can find how to partner. Thank you.